So I'm cool with that, man. Look,
what kind of drink you
always
gonna get?
I'm probably gonna surprise everybody, man. I'm gonna hit them up.
I'll probably ask for maybe a triple shotter. It's got to be expensive, right?
Whoa! I ain't trying to hit him up like that. But we're gonna bring Pat Fitzmaurice on. Look, guys, Fantasy Pros. Again, the guy's like 6'3". He's tall. He's slender. He's got it all together, and he's got the primer that's out. He's got all his articles on Fantasy Pros. He's going to talk to us about the draft kit. Pat Fitzmaurice, talk to us about it.
Gentlemen, Tip and Natter, great to see you guys. First of all, to set the record straight, I'm maybe 6'1" if I stand up straight. Maybe. That's it.
I know you towered over me. I was like, looking at him like, what is going on?
So I'm not a giant like JJ Zacharyson or some of these other dudes. But yeah, and the drinks are pretty affordable at George's. So, I can, if Natter wants to do a double, we'll do that. I don't want to be responsible for putting them under the table. So
that'll probably happen.
Yeah, but no, thank you for having me, guys. And yeah, Fantasy Pros, we just released our redraft kit for 2025. So a lot of articles, rankings, strategy pieces, and that's kind of what my positional primers are about. Not just talking about some of the players, but also just a general approach to the position and how I'm kind of going at things in 2025.
I love it.
Man, hold on. You said drinks were affordable over there. And then, it's a random stupid story is like over the weekend, I was at like some restaurant and then I was like, man, you know what? This steak needs like a drink with it. And then, I open the drinks menu and I'm looking, and of course, I'm in the Bay Area where things are more than expensive for no good reason. And, you're looking at a drink like a margarita, something simple. It's like $18-19. And then I realized, all right, water's good enough for me. That's all I need.
Yeah, that's the great thing about Canton, Ohio. They're not going to get you for $20 mixed drinks.
Yeah, well, if we're there, the water is expensive because if you turn on the tap, like nothing comes out. That's terrible. I shouldn't say that. That's terrible.
All right, man. On that note, we're gonna get started on this bad boy. We're gonna go ahead and get on it. I can't even segue into that, Natter.
I left you to dry.
You left us to dry on that one. But we're gonna talk to you guys about some trends, right? And for me, I can't speak for the rest of the guys on here, but for me, trends are something that I look at heavy in any sporting, any sport, especially with fantasy football. I'm going to look at the trends. I'm going to not only look at the trends that are going on in season, because those are trends that could possibly help you win in that week. I'm going to look at some of the trends from last season because we have no games to look back on right now. So I'm looking at the last 5 games of this last season that we had. You can include playoffs if you want to, or if your player didn't make the playoffs, you could just talk about his last 5 regular season games. But I want to get a player that you are trending up for this year in your drafts and a player that you're trending downward because, maybe they didn't have such a good last 5 games of the season. So, Pat, we're going to start with you. Who is trending up for you?
All right, let's go deep with this one. Let's go with a late round guy because I'm curious what you two think about this guy. It's Marvin Mims from the Broncos. Yeah. And over his last 5 games, and we'll include the playoff game, even though he didn't do much in their playoff game. But over his last 5 total, 22 catches for 248 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Mims actually had 6 touchdowns over Denver's last 7 regular season games. Averaged 62 yards over those 7 games. I'm giving you 7 instead of 5 just because it was, stretched it out a little bit more than that. And he did this despite playing fewer than half of the offensive snaps in all those games. Like he was averaging 0.72 PPR fantasy points per snap in those games. Just to put that into perspective, Jamar Chase was at 0.38 PPR fantasy points per snap for the season. And like Mims just turned 23. Yeah. Like I have no idea what sort of role Sean Payton has in mind for Mims. Maybe he's just going to be this gadget guy. Maybe the role doesn't expand, but that sort of production late in the season really kind of caught my attention. And it kind of makes me want to take a late round flyer on Mims just in case Sean Payton ramps up the role this year.
What's his ADP? Do you happen to have that on hand?
I want to say it's like in the 50s or 60s.
So that's what, 5th rounder, 6th round pick?
No, I mean
like a
wide receiver.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay,
he is.
yeah, okay.
He is an end of the draft. Like in a
Yeah.
16-round draft, he might be there in the last round.
Oh God.
And-
Yeah, I was
and-
about to
and-
say, like, what happened that made him climb so high? Go ahead, Tip.
I was just gonna say, in best ball, I'm all with it. I'm all for getting Mims because those spike weeks. We saw last week he had a game in primetime where he had like a 95-yard touchdown that he caught from Bo Nix. When you see stuff like that, that just screams out to me best ball. I do agree with what you're saying, Pat, though, because you don't know what his role is going to be, especially with Sean Payton. We know Cortland Sutton. We know Evan Ingram is there now. He's going to command some targets as long as he's healthy. But Bo Nix has got an arm on him, and Bo Nix is not afraid to use that arm. And he's in a division now where everybody's gotten better. The Raiders have gotten better. My team,
No, they
the
haven't.
Chargers, they have gotten better.
No, they
you
haven't.
stop that now. You stop it. Stop that.
The
You know
amount of
they've
times
gotten better.
off-season champions, off-season winners. Yeah.
Well, they
got a dynasty in
every
that.
team in there. Every team in there is a playoff contender. I'm gonna put my Raiders in there as a contender. I don't think we're gonna do it, but I'm gonna put them in there as a contender.
If you don't think they're gonna do it, they're not a contender.
Things could swing our way, but hey, look, we're not talking about my Raiders. We're talking about Mims, and I think that Mims is a guy who in best ball, I'm all in on him. Now, if he's on my team in a redraft or a dynasty, he's going to be a bench, a filler spot for bye weeks, things like that. Unless I'm in a league where I get return yardage, because he does get those return yardages too. So if he gets that, that might add a little bit more value for Mims. So I like the call.
I just dialed up the ADP header. It's 132 overall.
132. Yeah, see, that's a good spot for him. That's a perfect spot for him because there's no investment in him. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
Right? There's virtually no investment, and like you said, there isn't. Without sounding mean, I don't want to say there's no real competition in his position on that roster, but there isn't really. Like, I don't think Cortland Sutton is I don't know, what's the term for it? Help me out here. Somebody that I would comfortably have on my roster, I guess. Does that mean?
No, I get what you're going with, Natter. It's not a sexy name, Cortland Sutton, but I think he holds some value in this offense. You got to look at what you saw in this offense with him last year. He was a go-to guy in this offense. Now, I do understand the fact that Evan Ingram is there, and I think that is kind of what's maybe deterring some people away, because if Evan Ingram stays healthy, he could command a lot of targets in this offense as well.
Yeah, but he won't. So
he won't stay healthy. You don't think?
Nah, come on.
Probably not.
He those 2 seasons that he did, he averaged about over 200 fantasy points in those 2 seasons. So let's just say in his year 31, his age 31 season, let's say that he has one more in him. He stays healthy.
Hey, and maybe Christian McCaffrey will have another healthy year in him after the past 2 years. Where actually he was healthy past 2 years, and then last year I didn't go for anybody, and now we're gonna say the same thing. Hey, maybe he's got it in him this year.
Well, speaking of Christian McCaffrey, we're going to talk about somebody that Pat has that's trending down. And I know it's not Christian McCaffrey, but I'm trending down on Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, so this is Kyle Pitts. And
love that one.
I kind of want to buy into Kyle Pitts this year. He's only 24. He had that 1,000-yard rookie season. We got a little taste of what he could do. And maybe he'll be more comfortable in year 2 of Zach Robinson's offense in Atlanta. And Michael Penix Jr. is certainly an upgrade over Kirk Cousins, who, let's face it, looked pretty dusty last year. But in Pitt's last 5 games, he had 12 catches for 108 yards, 1 touchdown on 20 targets. He played under half of the offensive snaps in the last 4 of those 5 games and in 5 of the last 6. And he wasn't very involved in the 3 games Penix started at the end of the year. Pitts had 7 catches for 66 yards, 1 touchdown in those games. So was not a sterling finish for Kyle Pitts. I'm everyone hates him. No one wants to draft this guy anymore, which is kind of what, I want to be the contrarian and get him in the year that he proves everyone wrong. But I don't know if it's going to happen. That the finish he had does not give me a lot of confidence.
Yeah.
Tip, who's been saying Kyle Pitts is trash? I just want you to say it.
You've been talking about it. You've been saying it. You and Justin Fields, those are your 2 guys. You just
can't stand him.
You can't go with them. Yeah, you've been saying it. But I will say, Pat did touch on the Zach Robinson thing, and I did listen to one of his press conferences not too long ago. He was talking about how this is year 2 of the offense, and he started to see a change in the players, getting the old philosophies out from Arthur Smith and bringing in his new philosophy. And he started seeing a difference at the end of the season. At the end of the season, those last 3 games, Atlanta was one of the higher scoring teams. They scored over 30 points a game. So we could see a situation or a scenario where now this is Zach Robinson's. They've had a year with him. Now this is time to implement new things and continue to work on the old. So we could really see a resurgence from this offense. I really, really like this offense. But Kyle Pitts, it's kind of like what you said, Pat. Do I want to be the guy that zags when everybody's zigging? Yeah, I do. I do like doing that. But I've done that too many times with Kyle Pitts. It's like I'm done with it.
Yeah, he has to make plays to earn his keep and earn snaps in that offense because he's not a good run blocker.
Yeah,
that's one of the issues. And if he's not making plays as a receiver, they're just going to cut his snaps and he's going to be under 50% snap share like he was for a lot of those games down the stretch.
Yeah.
I mean, they are a play action type offense. And in order to successfully have a play action type offense, you need to have a tight end that could run block to sell it. Even when you do run it, you have to have a tight end to run block. And, if he's on the field, it just makes the offense one dimensional because, they're probably not running the football. And usually with tight ends, you have to be faster than linebackers and stronger than safeties. That's like you look at any elite tight end, he is faster than a linebacker, stronger than a safety. And Kyle Pitts, he's neither. He's not faster than linebackers and he's not stronger than safeties. I don't know how that happened to him, but that's how it happened.
Yeah. Too many injuries. All right, Nader, give us your trend up and your trend down.
So this one, I kind of decided to play a little trick with the rules on this one. I decided to go instead of the last 5 games, which was I decided to do the first 5 just because he only played the beginning of the season, which is Chris Godwin. He is somebody that he was wide receiver 1.
He was
until he got injured, and he just fits that offense, and he fits the way Baker Mayfield likes to play quarterback. He fits his role perfectly in that offense. I just repeated that, but he's going to continually repeat that in this system because nothing changed in that system except nothing. So that being said, somebody like Chris Godwin is somebody that I want to target in this offense, especially because he is coming off the ACL injury. His ADP isn't going to have that inflated price to it that I would expect.
Okay. I mean, you're not a little nervous about Ebukwe?
Not really. Not really. Baker is the type of guy, he's kind of loyal to players and he wants the players that he likes on the field. And he had clear chemistry with Chris Godwin. Yes. It's exact stuff like that. So I don't, as long as he's healthy, I think he's going to be on the field.
Okay. That's the thing. That is the big if right there. Yeah. That is the big if. All right. Give us a player that you're trending downward.
Well, first we need to hear Pat's opinion.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I think more so than Emeka Egbuka stealing touches. I'm a little more worried about the health thing. That's oh man, that game against the Ravens where to see his ankle completely dislocated, and it just I wonder if he's going to be the same guy because his start to last season was spectacular. He was having the career year, and it was just really sad to see it, ended with that gruesome injury. So
it was gnarly.
I hope he is 90 to 95% of the Godwin we saw last year.
And if we do that, he should exceed his ADP. And at that point, it's a successful draft pick.
Yeah, the buy-in is low this year, Nader. So I do like the call.
There we go. Now, somebody I don't like, I'm going to go Alvin Kamara on this one. He will be 30 by the time the year starts. And in his last 5 games, he hit 100 yards rushing once against the Rams. And his next closest was 67. The only thing Kamara's got going for him is that it's a potentially weaker division, and he doesn't really have any competition around him that I would be like, oh yeah, that guy is definitely going to be.
Wait, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is not a competition?
Oh shoot, my bad. Oh, I forgot about him. Wow, he's yeah. You know what?
He's
Alvin
back
Kamara,
home.
who?
He's back home. He's close to home. Maybe something.
So am I.
Maybe he gets some of that Louisiana flavor in him, and maybe he balls out.
Yeah, okay. And
Have we heard that before?
maybe the stripper actually likes me. God, that's terrible. Come on.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, one part of me wants to believe what you're saying, Natter, but the other part of me is like, it's Alvin Kamara. All he does is catch his passes, and that's what he does. I know the quarterback situation is going to be dire. I know the offensive line is dire. I know the whole team on the offensive side, it doesn't look good for the New Orleans Saints. But you got a guy in Kellen Moore, and he does know how to utilize his weapons. And yes, Alvin Kamara is about to turn 30, but the way he plays, he does play an inside game, but he plays an outside game too, where he can kind of protect himself from getting those nasty hits by running in between tackles and getting hit by 300-pound linemen all the time. Like, there's different ways they can utilize him. So I don't know. I think it depends on where you get him, and it depends on, for me, like I got him as my third running back as a flex option. I thought that was great. I was like, man, okay, I can have Alvin Kamara as a flex. I think his price has gone up a little bit more, but Pat, what do you think?
I think I'm pretty much in line with his ADP at like mid-range RB2. And it's just, I feel like the usage is going to be kind of the same as it ever was for Kamara, where he's not going to get a ton of carries. They're going to find someone to be his tag team partner in the running game. Maybe Devin Neal, who I liked a lot, drafted a little later than I thought he'd be, but he was really impressive at Kansas. But then I think with these young quarterbacks, they're going to be confused by a lot of what they see. You know, Tyler Shuck getting his first exposure to NFL defenses, Shane Rattler, who didn't always look real poised last year in his starts. I could see those guys checking down to Alvin Kamara quite a bit next year. So I wouldn't be surprised if Kamara has another 70-75 catch season.
Yeah. Usually when the quarterbacks are either inexperienced or just not that great. And since we don't really know how the quarterbacks are, I'm just going to go, they're probably not that great, just to be, I guess, a little conservative. What does everybody always say? Be like, all I got to do is just stop the run, make them one-dimensional, and then they got to throw the ball. And, obviously they'll be, easy to stop at that point. And I feel like that's just going to follow through with the Saints. You're just going to be like, oh, as long as you stop Alvin Kamara, they're not going to be able to do anything, because who are they going to throw the ball to? A concussed Chris Olave? Probably not. He won't be playing.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that he still can get the catches, and that's what you're banking on with him. You're banking on him getting catches and getting somewhere in the range of 6 to 8 touchdowns. I think he can do it again. As long as he stays healthy, Natter, I think he can do it again. And we're going to be sitting here yet again this next summer, and we're going to be looking at Alvin Kamara at turning 31, and then we're going to be like, when is this drop-off going to happen? And,
it happened.
It has happened. He's not like he was when he first came into the league, for sure. He has had a drop off, but it's not that drastic of a drop off.
Yeah, no. Next year you're going to be looking at it, and you're going to be like, "Oh man, Natter, you were right." Just like Kyle Pitts, just like Justin Fields.
Now I'm pretty sure I'll hear it from you sometime during the damn season. You'll probably
Week one he'll have a bad week, and I'll just come in. See, I told you.
Right. So we're going to stay at the NFC South, and we're going to actually go to the team that Natter talked about just a few minutes ago with Chris Godwin. I'm going to go with his teammate. Yeah, it's Mike Evans. I think that, look, if we go back look at the last 5 years, I know Mike Evans is a big name, but go back and look at the last 5 weeks of the season last year. 23 points a game is what this guy averaged on 10 targets. It was actually 9.8, but I'm going to round it up to 10. 10 targets is what he was getting in those last 5 games. I know the games previous to that, he missed those due to a hamstring injury. As long as his hamstring is healthy, which he has had hamstring issues in the past, you can't go back off of what happened the prior year on some injuries. Hamstrings, you got to look at certain things like this. So if you got Mike Evans as a number 2, number 3 wide receiver on your squad, I think that he could provide that much given kick that your team's going to need. And he's always getting looks in the red zone. Baker Mayfield trusts him. The new OC, they're protege of Liam Cohen. So you're going to see a situation. You might see a similar offense. There might be little differences, little wrinkles here and there. But I think that Mike Evans has a shot, again, to do some damage at the beginning of this season and maybe even throughout the season as long as he stays healthy. And one last nugget I'm going to get. He wanted to stay with the Buccaneers. If we remember, he had an opportunity to go to Kansas City. He had an opportunity to go to the Texans. A lot of people would say that's a better destination as far as getting into the playoffs and maybe going far into the playoffs. But Mike Evans, sometimes you got to look at what these players are doing or what their thoughts are, or maybe the team that's around them. They may not always be right, but you got to look at that too. Maybe they don't necessarily like what they see in Houston, or maybe they don't think he fits there, or maybe the same thing with Kansas City. Maybe there's a little regression coming from the Chiefs. We got to always look at what these players are looking at too, because they're the ones who are ultimately making the decision and where they're going to go in free agency. It's not a trade. This is free agency. And he decided to stay home in Tampa Bay. So that's another thing for me.
Pat, what do you think?
Yeah. As my buddy Scott Pianowski of Yahoo says, when has anyone ever drafted Mike Evans and been disappointed?
Exactly.
Like, he's just money year in, year out. And I know, I guess when Godwin got off to that torrid start last year, like, Evans was actually below 1,000-yard pace before that Ravens game where he got hurt. I think he was averaging like 52 yards a game or so over the first 6 games, maybe. And I think he had 7 or fewer targets in 5 of those 6 games. But then he gets hurt, and it looks like there's no chance that he's going to get a 1,000-yard season. And he comes back and is just completely balling out, averaging almost 100 yards a game. So, you wonder if, like, the added with Godwin back, although I don't think Godwin can produce at the wide receiver 1 pace that he was early in the season. Igbuka's there, but man, I'm still expecting like another 1,000-yard, 8-9 touchdown season for Mike Evans. It's just what the guy does. And his game, he doesn't play a speed game. He's the rebounder, and like, I think that sort of game is going to age a little bit better than the speed game might for guys like Tyreek Hill, who's getting older. But like, I think Evans is going to age like fine wine. Let's hope.
I mean, death taxes and another 1,000-yard season from Mike Evans.
Yes, sir.
I wanted to use him as my pick, but Tip beat me to it. So I got no complaints on that one. And he likes Harry Potter. If you like Harry Potter, I like you. That's just how it goes.
Well, I don't know if Isaiah Pacheco likes Harry Potter, because that's a player that I'm down on. I looked at what happened the last 5 games of this season for him. The dude averaged 20 points, fantasy points in those 5 games, 20 total points. And that right in and of itself tells me that, yes, okay, he wasn't healthy. Yeah, he just didn't look the same. He didn't look like that earth crater stomping running back that he goes out there and he just wants to obliterate everybody. He looked like he may have been a little timid. Maybe he was trying to fill out the injury that he had, because it was a lower extremity injury. So for him, I think that he had to regain that confidence, but that confidence was never regained even when he got back, because Kareem Hunt was doing some things and Kareem Hunt took over. And the other thing about the other thing that I want to point out too about Isaiah Pacheco, Andy Reid likes to use multiple running backs in this Kansas City offense that he's with. He will use multiple running backs. He doesn't have guys that are going to be a bell cow at this point in where Andy Reid is. So what I will say is this: Brashard Smith is another guy that I'm looking at. It's a guy I think that you guys should also go out there and get. He's way down there he's probably on the waiver wires right now. And if he is on the waiver wire, you need to put in a claim for him, because there could be a scenario where you got Kareem Hunt, who's old. You got Isaiah Pacheco, he could get hurt any moment. I mean, any of these running backs can, but the way he runs, he's so physical. Now we're starting to look at it as fantasy football managers. We're starting to look at, well, man, can I trust a player like that? Yeah, he runs hard. I love to watch his plays. I love his angry runs. I love it. But is that going to sustain over the course of a full season? And I don't know if it will. So I'm looking at a guy like Brashard Smith to if you got Isaiah Pacheco, if you have him on your dynasty, if you go out there and draft him just because you want to get him, I would tell you to go out there and definitely get his handcuff Brashard Smith. Or if you want to go Kareem Hunt route as well, you can do that. But I really like what I see out of the kid Brashard Smith on his tape, and not only what Andy Reid has talked about him, how he's versatile and he's going to help this offense. As long as he holds on to that ball, you've got to hold on to that ball. He holds on to that ball. That's the big thing with me. And I know that's going to be the big thing with Andy Reid.
He might be their new Jerick McKinnon.
Yeah.
I mean, doing the same stuff McKinnon was doing for the
Absolutely.
Chiefs like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And they've Eli Mitchell now too. Elijah Mitchell.
Yeah.
I like him. I want to see the injuries that are concerned about him, but I do like Elijah Mitchell. I want to see the battle between him and Smith. I really or whoever's gonna. It's gonna be a big battle regardless, but I want to see that battle. Who's gonna be on that depth chart come week 1?
Yeah. I'm torn on Pacheco because most of me wants to give him a mulligan for coming back in under 3 months from a fractured fibula. Like, that guy could not have been playing at 100% or probably anything close to it, which, I think everyone was waiting for him to take his job back from Kareem Hunt. He just couldn't do it. So he is going to be one of the guys I'm most interested in hearing reports on and watching in preseason games come August. Like, he's going to be an important guy, I think, as far as is he back to being the same guy he was pre-injury?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be something to monitor. What about you, Nader?
I'm indifferent. I could see it. I don't like him, but he's on the Chiefs. And just because he's on the Chiefs, he gets like a little notch up where he gets kind of like the benefit of the doubt almost.
I can respect that.
Yeah. I'm not specifically targeting Pacheco.
Yeah.
But at his ADP, if I get him a round later or half a round later, I'd be like, yeah, why not? I'll hit I call him the David Montgomery of running backs when he was on the Bears. He's like, I don't want him, but I'll take him.
Yeah.
He's RB 28 right now, 83rd overall.
Yeah.
Going right around where Aaron Jones goes.
Kind
of around Tony Pollard, Aaron Jones, Brian Robinson.
How the mighty have fallen. Holy.
I would have him over Brian Robinson, but I would have him under Tony Pollard and Aaron Jones.
Ooh, that hurts.
Yeah, I like Jones more.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. And you know what? Speaking of running backs, we're going to talk about some handcuffs right now. So I'll tell you what, guys. Nader, you first of all, I already know how you get. I know when you see the word handcuffs, you start thinking the naughty thoughts, and we're gonna get that out the gutter right now. We're gonna stop the naughty thoughts, bro.
Yes, when handcuffs are used to tie myself to the bed frame, that's nice. But when handcuffs are behind my back, that's not nearly as fun.
Well, these are some nice handcuffs too, Nader. These are some RB handcuffs that can actually give you a little bit more than their actual handcuffs. So what I'm saying is they can make an impact at the beginning of the season or throughout the whole season and not just be a handcuff for your running back. So we're going to start with you, Nader. Who is your player that you're picking?
I already know who you guys are going for, so I had to dig deep on this one. And while I personally don't think Saquon Barkley is getting hurt this year, I would just go for his handcuff just in case, because he took a beating last year. Like you guys always say, curse of 370, curse of this, curse of that. And I don't believe in curses. I curse all the time. But Will Shipley is somebody that I will always try to find a way to sneak on my roster just because injuries happen in football. And you know what? Taking a beating, Saquon Barkley, he's tore a couple ACLs. He's gotten hurt. Will Shipley with that offensive line, that offense, that scheme, he's it's like me going into that offense. I could get a yard or carry and be fantasy productive on that line. So, Will Shipley is, to me, an easy slam dunk on somebody that I'd hold on to.
I like
you can just imagine picture that we're in season and it's week 2 and Saquon has a high ankle sprain. Oof. What are the fab bids looking like for Will Shipley that week?
Oh yeah,
we're talking 60%. Some
more
people are going to be opening
all
up
the all of it. Especially if you had Saquon at the time, then you have to take Will Shipley. You must have Will Shipley.
Yeah, and he's versatile too. He's a run catch guy.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't get to see a lot of him his rookie year, but man, there would be a lot of interest in him, obviously, if anything ever happened to Saquon Barkley. There would be, he would be the fab darling of the week.
Yeah. And, speaking of another running back that I think that we could have or we should have saw a lot more of is Braylon Allen. And that's my guy. I think Braylon Allen has an opportunity. We're already hearing the rumblings. Just even last week, we're hearing the rumblings of Breece Hall could be traded because of what they're seeing in this kid and Braylon Allen. And don't forget, they got Isaiah Davis there as well. The coach is already calling this kid War Machine. Like that in of itself tells you what he thinks of this kid. And if you haven't seen the pictures of Braylon Allen, go out there, just Google it right now. Check out the picture of this kid. This dude is a Hulk, like straight up behemoth. And the thing I'm going to tell you about with him is last year, the Jets, right? They ran the ball 21 times a game. I don't understand it. I don't know why they did it. I know they had Aaron Rodgers. I just don't get it. And I know Nathaniel Hackett screwed up the whole game plan, but I just don't get it. When you got a running back like you have in this backfield, you run the ball. And I think that Aaron Glenn's going to come in there. Tanner, the new OC, he's going to come in there as well. And they're going to run the ball. Remember, both of these guys came from Detroit. So what was Detroit's method? Detroit was always one of the top running teams. And not only that, they were also a well-balanced team. So you got a situation now where you're going to get a well-balanced team. They're going to be there on the running back side. They're going to get the running game going. And one last nugget I'm going to leave before I get to Natters Pat's, is this. Justin Field led teams. I went and did the math on this. Justin Field led teams, Natter, and this is why I'm laughing because Natter hates Justin Fields. They run the ball over 30 times a game
because you can't pass.
Well, but they're running the ball, and I know he gets a lot of runs, but they're running the ball, and I believe that the New York Jets will be one of the top heavy running teams in this season. They're going to go from 21 into the mid to lower 30s this year on average running the ball, and I think Braylon Allen is going to just destroy, especially if Breece Hall isn't there or if he gets injured. He's going to destroy fantasy football. I got him in every draft that I've done so far. I've made sure to get Braylon Allen on my squad.
Man, Tip, I feel like you're being an extra gracious host, knowing you've got a University of Wisconsin guy here, and you're, shouting out Braylon Allen, which I love, man. I mean, this guy has an absolute load to bring down. Really good vision, like surprisingly quick feet for a dude who goes 235 pounds, and the thing is, like, Braylon Allen looked faster last year than he ever looked at Wisconsin. Like he did speed training or something, because like he was moving last year. Maybe the only issue I have with Braylon is that he's not much of a pass catcher. Yeah. Like even when I know he asked the coaches going into his final year at Wisconsin, like, can I get more involved in the passing game? Like I want to put that on tape for NFL teams. And they did. And like, they threw to him more, but like there was an uptick in usage. He's just not very natural as a pass catcher. He is built to run people over. But you're right, Tip. They're going to run the ball a lot and play defense, and that's how they're going to win. Where the Bengals have to win 35-31 games, the Jets are going to have to win 17-13 games this year. And I think Braylon Allen could be a big part of that.
They ran the ball 21 times last year because they were losing games. They couldn't afford to run it. Yeah. That's going to happen again this year, in my opinion, at least. Like they'll be losing. They're not going to it's like drafting Garrett Wilson. It's a good pick. He's a good player, but it's stressful. Like he's just like, oh, what's he going to do this week? Is he going to throw up, is he going to catch 2 touchdowns, or is he going to like get 1 reception? Like it could be either or with him on this offense now. And okay, so realistically, yeah, that's a good pick. I like Breece Hall, so I don't like him, but realistically, like, yeah, that's a good handcuff. He's probably somebody that I would probably try to grab as well. I just hate the Jets, and I don't think anybody should try to analyze the Jets and sit there and be like, oh, I want this player on the Jets. Like, I just don't think any logical person that's trying to win a fantasy league should do that. I just feel like that's just a recipe for disaster. Like, wow, congratulations. You got Dallas Goedert as your tight end. Like, that's terrible. Like, I mean, not Dallas Goedert. Who they just draft? I can't remember his name all of a sudden.
Mason Taylor.
Yeah, like he's not going to do anything either. He's going to be the next Kyle Pitts. Like My God.
Until
they get maybe when they get an actual quarterback, like somebody that's not a running back.
I don't know that. I think that this offense, I think it's going to take some time. It's going to take a learning. It's going to be a learning curve, but it's going to take some time. But I think towards the middle to the end of this season, we're going to really see this offense take off to the next level, and I think it's going to be a fun one. But Pat, before we, go ahead.
Is that because they benched Justin Fields?
No comment. No comment on that. No comment on that.
Okay.
But Pat, give us your guy. Give us your handcuff.
Well, I was going to bring up Isaiah Davis, but I don't want to upset Natter since he hates the Jets. So I better go in a different direction. Jordan Mason. And I said a few minutes ago that I like Aaron Jones, and I still do, but Aaron Jones is 30 and he's had some injury issues in the past. So the Vikings are they didn't have many draft picks this year, and I think they've given away a couple of their draft picks next year. So they went out and traded for Jordan Mason and quickly gave him a 2-year contract extension that includes, I think, more than like $7 million in guaranteed money. So they've got plans for this dude. And we saw what Jordan Mason could do in the first 5 games of 2024 when Christian McCaffrey was out. Before Mason got hurt himself, he averaged 107 rushing yards a game, 120 scrimmage yards per game, 5.1 yards per carry. And what Mason does really well is run outside zone. The Vikings run a lot of outside zone. That's totally up Mason's alley. And, just generally, I want players in Kevin O'Connell's offense. He's one of the best play callers, offensive choreographers in the league. And, the Vikings upgraded their offensive line in the offseason. So, man, I think there could be some standalone value with Jordan Mason. And if anything happened to Jones, Mason would be like a guy we're ranking in the top 10 every week at running back and like excited about starting.
Yeah, because there's a huge difference about excited about starting and being stressed out. Like Garrett Wilson, like you're stressed out about starting him. Jordan Mason, if he's a standalone, no, you're looking forward. You're counting down a Sunday to see how many fantasy points he's putting up. I like the pick.
Yeah, no, Jordan Mason, we saw what he did prior to the injury last year. And I remember, I think it was that shoulder injury, he tried to come back. Like he was like determined to come back and they just couldn't do it. And then he ended up getting the high ankle sprain. But I really liked what I saw out of him. I do agree with you. Kevin O'Connell offense, you want to have pieces in this offense, whether it be from the running game, the passing, or the receiving. So you want pieces on that offense. So and it's got a good offensive line. The offensive line's gotten even better with some of the players that they've added in this offseason. So I think, Jordan Mason, go for it. I think that he can be more than a handcuff. Now, before we get out of here, we're going to ask Pat one question from the mail sack question of the day. And Pat, we want to get your top 5 offenses for fantasy football going into your drafts.
All right. We'll start with the Bengals. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Chase Brown. Pretty easy to figure out who's going to get the touches in this offense. And with the Bengals defense looking so bad, like I was just saying, they're going to have to win games 35-31. They are going to be in shootouts this year and, just stomping the accelerator with the passing game. So as long as Joe Burrow can stay upright, man, I think he's going to be putting up circus numbers this year. And it's why, I kind of reassessed where I was on T. Higgins. I think I had T. Higgins like wide receiver 16 or something like that. I'm like, I don't know, man. I think T. Higgins is even with Chase around, his borderline top 10. So
it's just health with him. That's it.
You're right. Yeah. All those soft tissue injuries, but man, there are games where, it's almost like Jamar Chase is the decoy and it's a T. Higgins game. Then got to go with the Eagles at number 2. Saquon, Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert healthy, possibly the best offensive line in the league. It's annoying they want to run the ball so much because, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, those dudes in different offenses. A.J. Brown is still really valuable, even though the Eagles were the run-heaviest team in the league last year. And, Devontae Smith, I feel like is probably one of the 2 or 3 best route runners in the league. So just an awesome collection of weapons. I'll say the Commanders. I'm not necessarily going with my pure top 5 for best, but I'm talking like fantasy and offenses that I want to get a piece of. All right. So yeah, Commanders, they have this ascending offense led by this electric young quarterback, Jaden Daniels. And all of a sudden the offensive line looks pretty good now that they've added Laramie Tunsil. They're getting Sam Cosmi back from injury. And it's kind of nice in a way that the only somewhat expensive running back or pass catcher in this offense is Terry McLaurin. Like, it's real easy to buy cheap pieces of this offense that I think is going to be really good. So I'm kind of into these dudes. Like, I mean, I know no one's too into Debo anymore, but I kind of like Debo.
Yeah.
And I kind of like Austin Eckler in the later rounds. And then I got to go with the Vikings. I mean, I hate them as a Packers fan, but as I mentioned earlier, like, I have to acknowledge the genius of Kevin O'Connell, one of the best play callers. And the Vikings did go out and bolster that offensive line in the league. Like, they already were pretty set at tackle.
Yeah.
But then they just raid the Indianapolis Colts in free agency, come away with Ryan Kelly and Will Freeze. And then they drafted Donovan Jackson in the first round. So, like, I'm not really worried about JJ McCarthy. Like, people were worried about Sam Darnold last year, and how did that work out? I mean, he kind of collapsed at the end. They couldn't quite push him over the finish line, but McCarthy is a really toolsy player. I think he's going to make this offense work. And then last, yes, this is an offense I actually want to buy into, and I'm not just paying you back for the Braylon Allen thing tip. It's the Raiders. Collection of weapons. I'll say the Commanders. I'm not necessarily going with my pure top 5 for best, but I'm talking like fantasy and offenses that I want to get a piece of. All right. So yeah, Commanders, they have this ascending offense led by this electric young quarterback, Jaden Daniels. And all of a sudden the offensive line looks pretty good now that they've added Laramie Tunsil. They're getting Sam Cosmi back from injury. And it's kind of nice in a way that the only somewhat expensive running back or pass catcher in this offense is Terry McLaurin. Like, it's real easy to buy cheap pieces of this offense that I think is going to be really good. So I'm kind of into these dudes. Like, I mean, I know no one's too into Debo anymore, but I kind of like Debo.
Yeah.
And I kind of like Austin Eckler in the later rounds. And then I got to go with the Vikings. I mean, I hate them as a Packers fan, but as I mentioned earlier, like, I have to acknowledge the genius of Kevin O'Connell, one of the best play callers. And the Vikings did go out and bolster that offensive line in the league. Like, they already were pretty set at tackle.
Yeah.
But then they just raid the Indianapolis Colts in free agency, come away with Ryan Kelly and Will Freeze. And then they drafted Donovan Jackson in the first round. So, like, I'm not really worried about JJ McCarthy. Like, people were worried about Sam Darnold last year, and how did that work out? I mean, he kind of collapsed at the end. They couldn't quite push him over the finish line, but McCarthy is a really toolsy player. I think he's going to make this offense work. And then last, yes, this is an offense I actually want to buy into, and I'm not just paying you back for the Braylon Allen thing tip. It's the Raiders. Collection of weapons. I'll say the Commanders. I'm not necessarily going with my pure top 5 for best, but I'm talking like fantasy and offenses that I want to get a piece of. All right. So yeah, Commanders, they have this ascending offense led by this electric young quarterback, Jaden Daniels. And all of a sudden the offensive line looks pretty good now that they've added Laramie Tunsil. They're getting Sam Cosmi back from injury. And it's kind of nice in a way that the only somewhat expensive running back or pass catcher in this offense is Terry McLaurin. Like, it's real easy to buy cheap pieces of this offense that I think is going to be really good. So I'm kind of into these dudes. Like, I mean, I know no one's too into Debo anymore, but I kind of like Debo.
Yeah.
And I kind of like Austin Eckler in the later rounds. And then I got to go with the Vikings. I mean, I hate them as a Packers fan, but as I mentioned earlier, like, I have to acknowledge the genius of Kevin O'Connell, one of the best play callers. And the Vikings did go out and bolster that offensive line in the league. Like they already were pretty set at tackle.
Yeah.
But then they just raid the Indianapolis Colts in free agency, come away with Ryan Kelly and Will Freeze. And then they drafted Donovan Jackson in the first round. So like, I'm not really worried about JJ McCarthy. Like people were worried about Sam Darnold last year. And how did that work out? I mean, he kind of collapsed at the end. They couldn't quite push him over the finish line, but McCarthy is a really toolsy player. I think he's going to make this offense work. And then last, yes, this is an offense I actually want to buy into, and I'm not just paying you back for the